Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Tonight's story takes us into the cold, silent darkness just outside McGuire Air Force Base, where the lines between the known and the impossible were crossed in a way that shook every witness to their core. This is not a tale born from rumor or shadowy urban legend. This is a reconstruction of an event buried in official silence, an event involving trained military police, unexplained lights in the sky, and something that fell from the clouds unlike anything from this world. Our story begins on a frigid January night in 1978. The base was quiet, wrapped in that eerie stillness that only the dead of winter can create. Security patrols moved in routine patterns, their breath turning to fog against the icy wind. Nothing unusual, nothing strange, just another night, until it wasn't. Around 3 a.m., the radio crackled with sudden static. Then a voice died, unnerved, struggling to stay composed. Unidentified low-flying aircraft, moving erratically, heading toward the runway. The patrolman who reported it was not a rookie. He had served long enough to know the difference between a helicopter, a training jet, or even a civilian aircraft straying off course. But what he saw made no sense. The object darted, hovered, then jumped across the sky in a way that defied physics. It glowed, pulsing, almost breathing with light. Other patrols scrambled to make visual confirmation, and one by one, they did. Meanwhile, across the base perimeter, at the neighboring Fort Dix area, another officer was dealing with his own bizarre encounter. As he drove through a wooded stretch, a bright bluish light descended directly in front of his patrol car. The officer slammed on the brakes, heart pounding, his headlights cutting through the fog to reveal something standing in the road, humanoid, thin, gray-skinned, and when the officer stepped out, instinctively drawing his weapon, the creature turned its large, reflective eyes toward him. It ran fast, toward the fence line leading into McGuire Air Force Base. Panicked and overwhelmed, the officer fired. Several rounds, the figure collapsed near the fence, then pulled itself over, leaving behind a trail of dark, viscous fluid. A kind of fluid later described as thick, oily, and strangely iridescent. The officer reported the shooting immediately. Within minutes, the base went into a lockdown response, though officially nothing unusual was happening. Unmarked vehicles appeared, men in plain uniforms, no identifiable patches, stepped onto the scene as if they had been waiting for something like this. They instructed the responding units to stand down, forming a perimeter around the spot where the wounded being had landed. But by the time they found it, the creature was dead. What happened next is pieced together from whispers, bits of testimony, fragments of declassified files, and the lingering fear of those who were on duty that night. Military police officers were ordered to hold their position, but not to approach the body. Special teams arrived with thick, hermetically sealed containment bags and what looked like radiation detection tools. Witnesses said the creature's body was smaller, around 4 feet tall, with smooth gray skin, long limbs, and a head far too large for its frame. The eyes were sunken, black, and lifeless, but the strangest detail was the smell. Several officers described it as sharp, metallic, and almost electric, like the scent you get right before lightning strikes. As the body was lifted, it emitted a faint steam that hung in the cold morning air. The special unit worked quickly, efficiently, as if they had done this before. One MP later reported that the ground where the body had lain appeared burned, chemically scorched, leaving the grass wilted and darkened for weeks afterward. He also mentioned that the viscous fluid left behind dissolved into the soil unusually fast, as if absorbed by the earth. Once the body was secured, the unmarked team loaded it into a large transport container and drove off. No insignia, no license plates, no standard documentation. Just like that, it was gone, and the witnesses, in the following hours, every single one was escorted to a separate room, interrogated individually. They were told that the event never happened. They were warned not to repeat anything they believed they saw. Their reports were rewritten, sanitized, or erased entirely. Some officers recalled signing non-disclosure agreements so severe that they stayed silent for decades. The Fort Dix officer who fired the shots suffered the harshest treatment. He was debriefed for hours, then removed from duty for an unspecified psychological evaluation. Not long after, he left the military altogether. Those who knew him said he was never the same again. Rumors claim that he insisted he hadn't shot an animal, a civilian, or anything remotely human, that what he shot bled a strange dark fluid, and that even after all those years, he could still smell that strange electric scent. What about the craft, the glowing object that started all of this? Radar logs for that night reportedly disappeared. Air Tower staff recorded nothing officially, and yet multiple MPs swore they saw something streak up into the sky moments after the body was retrieved, as if the thing that had landed came back looking for its fallen companion. It hovered for a moment, silent, brilliant, otherworldly, before shooting upward at a speed no aircraft of the time could match. After that, a heavy silence fell over McGuire Air Force Base. The months following the incident were marked by quiet disciplinary transfers, sudden reassignments, and a thick blanket of secrecy. For years the story stayed buried, passed only in whispered fragments among those who were there. It wasn't until one retired officer, now free of military restrictions, decided to come forward that the pieces began to form the narrative I've told you tonight. He claimed he felt haunted, not by the creature itself, but by the silence, the truth he carried that no one ever acknowledged. He said he could still see the creature lying there in the cold, still hear the crunch of boots around him as unknown officials sealed the body away, still feel the fear of realizing that something had come out of the sky. And the government had protocols ready, waiting, as if they knew it might happen. Whatever crashed or landed near Fort Dix that night, whatever crossed the fence into McGuire Air Force Base, it was real enough to leave a corpse, a scorch mark, and a trail of frightened soldiers whose lives were never the same again. Even now, decades later, the U.S. government has never formally acknowledged the event, but the witnesses haven't forgotten. The documents that slipped through the cracks haven't vanished, and the strange, sudden lockdowns that night remain unexplained. Maybe the truth is still hidden somewhere in those sealed containers. Maybe the body was taken to a facility we're not supposed to know exists. Or maybe it's long gone, studied, dissected, and locked away beneath layers of denial. But one thing is certain, something walked onto McGuire Air Force Base that night, something not human, and the base never gave the world an explanation. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more mysteries and horror tales. I'll see you all in the next one. Stay curious and stay safe out there.